శ్రమకు ఓర్చి ప్రొఫెసర్ జనార్దన్ రావు గారు మెమోరియల్ లెక్చర్ ఇవ్వడానికి వచ్చేసినటువంటి ఆనరబుల్ జస్టిస్ సుదర్శన్ రెడ్డి గారి గురించి ఆగస్ట్ మెంబర్స్కి ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేయవలసిందిగా ప్రొఫెసర్ రేవతి గారిని కూర్చున్నాను.
Good morning to all of you. On behalf of Prof. Janardhan Memorial Foundation and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to all the members present over here. Firstly, to Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy, former Union Judge, Supreme Court of India, Vice Chancellor B. Venkatratnam, Registrar of the University, Professor and all senior faculty of various disciplines from the university, law faculty from Law College, and judges from district court, distinguished guests from other walks of life, students from various disciplines. I request the students to settle down and focus on the lecture. I give it a pleasure to introduce Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy to all who are present here. Justice Sudarshan Reddy is well known for rendering several landmark judgments upholding the principles of constitution and social justice in the country. He belongs to the rare breed of jurists who saw the constitution as providing a blueprint for the upliftment of India's poorest and most deprived, and how the state should use its powers best to attain that goal. His judgments mark a sharp departure from pedantic legalism towards a transformative constitutionalism. Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy was born on July 8, 1946 in an agricultural family in the village of Akulamailaram in Rangareddy district. His primary education was in a neighborhood school, neighboring village. He graduated in Arts and Law from Osmania University. He enrolled as an advocate with the Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh in the year 1971. He practiced in writ and civil matters in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. He was government pleader in the High Court during 88 to 90 and also worked as additional standing counsel for central government for a short period during 1990. Usmania University utilized his services as its legal advisor and standing counsel from the year 1992 onwards till his elevation as a permanent judge of the High Court of Andhra Pradesh. Justice Reddy served as a secretary and as well as president of the Andhra Pradesh High Court Advocates Association before being appointed as a permanent judge of the Andhra Pradesh High Court in 1995. After a decade of eventful service on the bench, he was elevated as Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court in 2005. He was appointed as the Judge Supreme Court of India in January 2007. Justice Reddy came under the influence of socialist thinkers, most particularly late Dr. Ramanohar Lohia, at a very early stage in his life. He actively participated in the total revolution movement led by J. Prakash Narayan. Apart from being one of the most articulate and erudite judges of the Supreme Court, Justice Reddy was also one of those exceptional judges whose judgments are replete with references to works on regulatory theory, political science, economics, international trade, and of course 20th century classic literature. The erudition and depth of research in his judgments are typical of him, who is well-read and thoughtful, one who is aware of current thinking in academia, legal and non-legal. Justice Reddy maintained a judicial demeanor which is always with equanimity. He listened patiently and attentively, interjecting purposefully. Justice Reddy has not only made immense contributions to the law, but also stirred serious debate about where the Indian polity is heading and where it should go. His understanding of the Indian Constitution was not limited to its function as a document which was merely supposed to check the arbitrary use of state power, but extends to a broader idea of justice that enables the curbing of injustice to all its complexity. During his tenure in the High Courts as well as the Supreme Court, Justice Reddy rendered several landmark judgments on various branches of law, in particular on issues of criminal jurisprudence, constitution, taxation, service law, and human rights. Some of his judgments are very interesting, which are on the side of the people, use of natural resources which should be benefiting the common people. In one of his judgments, Justice Reddy, while dealing with the question as to whether the assignees of the government land are entitled to payment of compensation equivalent to full market value of the land and other benefits or barred with other landholders in the event of resumption for a public purpose, said, I quote, in the matter of distribution of material resources of the community to the vulnerable sections of the society by the state in furtherance of its constitutional obligations, no argument can be heard from the state contending that the recipient of the benefit may either accept with the restrictions or not to accept the benefit at all. I request the students kindly be seated and cause no disturbance to the proceedings. The whole idea of distributive justice is to empower the weaker sections of the society and to provide them their share of cake in the material resources of the community, of which they were deprived from times immemorial for no fault of theirs. Having resolved to extend the benefits as a welfare measure, no unconstitutional condition can be imposed depriving the recipients of the benefits of their legitimate right to get compensation in case of taking over the benefit even for a valid public purpose. The recipients cannot be at the mercy of the state forever. In yet another important judgment dealing with the power of the government to deal with the public property, observed that, I quote, there is nothing like a government property. It's a public property of which the government as a day is only a trustee. The public properties cannot be parted away by the government in its discretion as it pleases. In his landmark judgment on Salva Jurul, Justice Reddy highlighted the importance of human rights and declared illegal and unconstitutional the appointment of tribal youth as special police officers by the Chhattisgarh government to counter insurgency. His judgment has been widely hailed as a landmark restatement of constitutional values, demonstrating Justice Reddy's enormous moral strength to uphold social justice. In yet another landmark judgment, Justice Reddy criticized the Union government for its slackness in probing black money cases. He observed, from mining mafias to political operators, who all too willingly bend policies of the state to suit particular individuals or groups in the social and economic sphere, the recent data for weakening the capacities and intent to enforce the laws is the lure of the youth. Even as the state provides violent support to those who benefit from such predatory capitalism, often violating the human rights of its citizens, particularly its poor, the market begins to function like a bureaucratic machine dominated by big business, and the state begins to function like the market where everything is available for sale at a price. Expressing his strong reservations about the government's efforts to deal with the black money issue, Justice Sudarshan Reddy constituted a special investigation team to investigate into unaccounted monies unlawfully kept in bank accounts abroad. While dealing with a dispute between Ambani brothers concerning the supply of gas from KG Basin, raised a question as to whose gas it is. He stated that a small portion of our population over the past 2 decades has been chanting incessantly for increased privatization of the material resources of the community, and some of them even doubt whether the goals of equality and social justice are capable of being addressed directly. They argue that economic growth will eventually trickle down. For those at the bottom of the economic and social pyramid, it appears that the nation has forsaken those goals as unattainable at best and unworthy at worst. The neoliberal agenda has increasingly eviscerated the state of stature and power, bringing vast benefits to the few, modest benefits for some, while leaving everybody else, the majority, behind. History has repeatedly shown that a culture of uncontained greed, along with uncontrolled markets, leads to disasters. Human rationality with respect to pursuit of youth is essentially short-run, so long as there appear to be possibilities of making profits, especially windfall profits. The fears that the competitors would reap them will drive businesses into taking greater and greater risks, in fact, even by self-enforcement of blindness to the potential for market collapse. To say that it was a failure of regulation is right. Markets failed because regulation had practically ceased to exist. Justice Reddy's concern for the youth finds expression in his judgment on the admissions in Army College of Medical Sciences. I think this is of particular interest to audience like us. He said, if a vast majority of our youngsters, especially those belonging to disadvantaged groups, are denied access to the higher educational institutions in the private sector, it would mean that a vast majority of youngsters, notwithstanding a naturally equal distribution of talent and ability, belonging to disadvantaged groups, would be left without access to higher education at all. That would constitute a state of social emergency with a potential for conflagration that would be on an unimaginable scale. In yet another landmark judgment speaking for the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, Justice Reddy reflected his understanding of the Constitution. The path to modern constitutionalism, with notions of divided and checked powers, fundamental rights and affirmative duties of the state to protect and enhance the interests of welfare of and security of the people, and a realization that poverty amongst nations and international peace were the synonym for the welfare of the people was neither straightforward nor inevitable. It took much suffering, bloodshed, toil, tears and exploitation of the people of their own governments and by foreign governments, both in times of peace and in times of war, before humanity began to arrive at the conclusion that unchecked power would sooner rather later turn tyrannical against the very people who have granted such power and also harmful to the peaceful existence of other people in other countries. And this had been unfolding since the two world wars. In 2010, Chief Justice of India S.H. Kapadia announced to set up an additional forest bench in the Supreme Court to hear cases related to environment and mining, and Justice V. Sudarshan Reddy became the obvious choice as the head of this additional bench. He laid down the law on how the state should exploit natural resources for the benefit of all and in accordance with the Constitution. Justice Reddy participated in various national and international conferences and delivered keynote speeches on interconnectivity between law, economics and social sciences. It is not a matter of surprise that one finds only Justice Sudarshan Reddy from India delivering keynote speech at a 5-day Commonwealth Law Conference, the largest event of its kind in the world, held in February 2011 at Hyderabad. Justice Reddy is presently associated with various educational institutions including Andhra Vidyalaya Educational Society and the Hyderabad Mahila Vidyalaya Sangham as its president. Hyderabad Mahila Vidyalaya Sangham is a pioneer in women's education in Hyderabad and manages many educational institutions. Justice Reddy continues to be a serious student of constitutional law and social sciences. It's a privilege for all of us that Justice Sudarshan Reddy is with us here and is delivering the 10th annual memorial lecture. I once again warmly welcome Justice Sudarshan Reddy on this occasion. I deem it a pleasure to introduce our beloved Vice Chancellor, Professor Venkatratnam. He is well known to all the students and faculty here, but for the benefit of our guest, I take this opportunity to introduce him. Professor Venkatratnam, Professor of Commerce and Business Management, is the 12th Vice Chancellor of Kakatiya University who took charge in May 2011. He is a senior faculty of Commerce and Business Management with 30 years of teaching and research experience. His specialization includes human resource management and organizational behavior. He hails from an agricultural family from Nalgonda district. He has completed his school education from Suryapet and his post-graduation from the Kakatiya University in 1980. And he has worked on performance of regional rural banks, taking the case of Nagarjuna Gramina Bank. He has also completed his LLB from the Kakatiya University and also several other degrees like PGDCA, Diploma in Industrial Management and MSc Psychology and so on. He joined the Kakatiya University as a lecturer in 82 and subsequently became a professor. He has also guided research and completed PhDs and several PhD students have worked with him. He has also served as head chairman board of studies and placement coordinator, and he has strived for the development of the department and whatever responsibility he has been given. He held other important administrative positions such as dean, director and vice principal University Arts and Sciences College and He was on the sports board too. He was director of the SCSP cell and contributed to the overall progress of the university. Besides an acclaimed academician, Professor Janardhan is also a good sportsman. He led the university in several kind of sports that were held at the state level and also at the national level. I also warmly extend my invitation to President. Thank you.